All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to continue the conversation with the welterweight division. This time, Errol Spence Jr. on his Instagram saying that people are sleeping on him and that he is ready to line him up. Also, some people that I talked about said that he is willing to fight certain people back to back. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. All right, man, we back on the welterweight division. Not a lot of really interesting stuff going on in boxing right now, but interesting conversation, man, about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. Also, Jaron Ennis, who we believe is now in the mix for a potential fight as the IBF mandatory. But before I get into the meat of that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share button, like button, all of those good buttons that help grow the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. And so let's talk about it. Errol Spence Jr. was on his Instagram and he put up a picture. It was maybe about 2 days ago at the time of the recording of this video, where he said people are mistaking his silence for weakness. And then he used the hashtag line him up and no more hiccups. So it seems like he is ready to get back out there and is training, man. If you look at the picture that he has up in that particular, Instagram post, the dude looks absolutely positively ripped. And this is at a time when, when he does not have a fight scheduled. Now, there are a lot of rumors that are flying around, and I'm telling you, on this particular channel, I do not have a problem talking about and sharing rumors with you. I will tell you, however, and I try to tell you every time, when these things are rumors or when there's where this is something that, that was given to me, like in my DM on Instagram or my inbox on Twitter, or people that I know, because I've got, 60,000 subs and 11,000 subs on Instagram. So a lot of people send me information and talk to me about what's going on in boxing, and I invite people to do it because I really do, enjoy the conversation. So over time, there are people that I know that have certain relationship with fighters that I don't really mind sharing the information with you. However, at the same time, you always got to just say, this is what we've heard, and then we will see how it actually pans out. But my understanding is, when Errol says he's talking about lining him up, that Errol Spence Jr. doesn't care. He literally means line him up. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. He's ready to go. He said that, from my understanding, he feels like he is in better shape now than he was before the car accident, and that he is all the way back at 100%. And the reason why I say the reason that it's phrased that way is because before the car accident, with the fight with Shawn Porter and the fight with Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence Jr. was blowing up a lot in between fights and really was not in the best shape he could be in the fights, because when he went into training camp, he pretty much had to go in there with a fat suit, the rubber suits or the plastic suits that you wear where you run and you're pretty much just trying to sweat yourself down, and get to weight, where you're doing the whole training camp. You really can't eat very much because you got to be so focused on your diet. But this time around, at this point, Errol Spence Jr. has made a lot of changes in his life. And so he's out, living in the country, pretty much just eating and sleeping, boxing, that, along with his family. I understand he's got a newborn son. You can actually see the young son in the picture that he has. So he's just really, converted from being a young man that was getting used to having a lot of money, to somebody that is really back on his championship grind. Some of the reasons, and I do recall this being said around the time of the Mikey Garcia fight, which is why you shouldn't always brush off rumors. I'm telling you. You got a lot of people come to the comment section and always say, well, if I don't hear it from boxing scene, or I don't hear it from this guy, how do you know it's true? Well, I would hear the same rumors about Errol Spence Jr. and what was going on with Errol before the Mikey Garcia fight and before the Shawn Porter fight, as far as him blowing up in weight, really gorging on food and partying a little bit and not really being ready for the fight. And I think that wound up kind of being the case. So moving forward, he feels like he's got all that stuff under wraps. that he's got his training regimen down, and that, his injuries are healed, his body is fresh, and he's willing to go straight at the other guys, straight at the top guys. Now, if you look at the layout of the 147-pound division, you know who that top guy is. The only other champion that is available for Errol Spence Jr. is Terence Crawford right now, who is the WBO champion. And Terence Crawford is saying he wants that fight. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford's only hiccup, my understanding is whether or not, those guys are going to be able to try to find a way, to make the money good on both sides. And what I understand is that people are confident that that'll be able to happen because Al Heyman and these guys know how to negotiate deals where you can make all sides happy. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. You can, and examples, and I'm not saying this is the examples that they're using or what they're going to do. You can actually, when you're talking about, 60-40 splits or 50-50 splits, you're talking about the splits of the pay-per-views or the splits of the gate, but you can also give somebody a bigger guarantee, right? Or you can also say if the pay-per-view sells above this amount, then, we can distribute payments based on that. You can give people, a little bit more money on foreign TV rights. There's all kind of different ways that you can make, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. feel as if they've been fairly compensated for that fight. Now with Errol Spence Jr., I personally, would love to see Errol, have a tune-up fight somebody else other than Terence Crawford, and not go straight into that fight just because, it's been over a year since he's fought. And I would like to see him, and Terence Crawford, come off of a fight, maybe say 6 months before that, take a rest, and then go into that fight when they're both sharp and there really are no excuses about it, right? Now, also, I'm going to keep doing this as I'm putting commercials out for this kid. Do not underestimate the possibility of the IBF giving the Errol Spence Jr. fight to Jaron Ennis. And if that's the case, Errol Spence Jr., and from everything that he's ever shown me, would be more than willing to get in the ring with Jaron Ennis. I just don't know whether or not Jaron Ennis's people would think that really is the best move for him at this point in time. If I was Jaron Ennis's people, I would say, look, man, there ain't no rush on this because you are definitely the next man up in 147 pounds. There's nobody that is not named Terence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. that really has a chance to beat Jaron Ennis. And Jaron Ennis himself, because those guys I don't think that they're going to be there more than a year and a half. But by the time Jaron Ennis gets to be 26, and you got, Terence Crawford up at 36, Errol Spence Jr. at 33 or wherever he is, that's going to be right prime time for that guy to take over that division. But again, Errol Spence Jr. saying line him up, so it makes it seem like he's willing to fight whoever they put in front of him. And if it's Terence Crawford, if it's Jaron Ennis, then Terence Crawford, hey man, I'll take it. If Errol Spence Jr. is 100% healthy and ready to go like he says he is, I'm already taking him over both of those fighters, but that he don't have to fight them both at the same time. So, man, he may be able to knock both of those dudes off. If he's able to knock both of those dudes off, you can throw that dude up there at the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. But again, hopefully this will happen. I do believe that eventually, I still hold out hopes that these fights will happen. But if it doesn't happen, I do not believe that is ever going to be because Errol Spence Jr. does not want that to happen. But that's my take on the matter, and me having just watched how that man has been moving for the last several years, and I think that's a fair assessment. But anyway, you let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. Peace.